I'm Steve Brown from Swansea Creatives, and I'm here with Gary Wibnall from West Wales Heating. And we're just talking about, the services that Gary provides, etc. But one of the interesting things is you mentioned biomass. So I don't even know what I've heard the terminology. What is biomass?
Biomass covers several different technologies.
Right.
The main two are wood gasification systems,
right,
which is systems that use traditional logs,
right,
that have been seasoned, and pellet boilers and pellet installations. And pellet is still pure wood,
right,
but it's processed.
Right.
And
what do you mean by processed?
Well, if you imagine, simplest of it, if you got a pencil,
yeah,
and chopped it up into sort of 5 or 6 equal lengths,
yeah,
each piece of pencil would be roughly the size of a pellet.
So very small, then.
Quite small. And the process is there's no additives or glues or anything used, right, but they take, if you like, virgin wood, whether it be woods that come straight out of woodland,
yeah,
or often factories that are producing wood materials, so right, joinery in some, yeah, places, and their waste product, the wood that's waste. So it's recycled. It's taken to a pellet factory, for a better word, and it's cut up into very small pieces, and then it's put through a process that compresses the wood together into these small pellets.
Right. Does that get rid of the moisture and the juices that are in there?
Moisture removal is a crucial thing. The moisture content of pellets is very, very low. It's less than 5%.
Right.
And because it's very dry, and obviously caring for that is an important part of an installation to make sure that it doesn't absorb more moisture whilst it's in store. But because it's so dry, the boilers are automatic ignition. They light themselves because it's so dry.
So you don't have to go in there and there's no door and all that. Okay.
Exactly. The boilers, most of the installations with pellet boilers is almost fully automatic.
Okay.
But an interesting thing, because pellet is so high in calorific value, so much energy in these little pellets, that most of it burns away. Right. And the amount of ash that you generate from burning pellet is very, very small amounts. I mean, you'd do a whole week's burn and you'd have less than a cupful of ash.
Yeah, that's a lot better than coal.
Oh, indeed. Yeah. Incidentally, all wood ash you can put on your garden because it's a very high phosphate.
So is it renewable?
Yeah. You can keep it going. It's great for fruit trees and things. Right. Potash helps. It's a sort of natural fertiliser, if you like. But that means, because there's so little ash content, that you can have a container alongside the pellet boiler that takes the ash from where it's generated into a little storage bin. And, it's once every 3 months you may have to empty that ash bin. You can have a store for pellet that stores best part of a year's pellet. So for the customer, for the user, it's a case of you've got a programmer on the wall, the same as you would for an oil or a gas boiler, to time when you want your heating and everything to come on, and you have a delivery once a year perhaps.
Well, that's understanding, so what you're saying then, let me just get this right then, so what you're saying, when they're using the pellet form for the biomass, they're using the pellet form, it's basically putting it on par with any gas electric boiler. You just, like you said, you use your electronics to control the device, and it switches on, switches off when you want.
Exactly that. Right. I mean, the pellet boilers, they self-clean. Yeah. It's all built into the programming of the machine, the boiler. There's very little input from the customer side, and they're getting very popular because people want this. And of course, with all the renewables that we install, there's the RHI, which is the Renewable Heating Incentive, which is a government thing, and it pays people for having renewables in their home, for using renewables rather than oil or gas.
Right. I'm going to stop you there now. So does that mean, because I'm always wary, when somebody gives you a grant, is that because they're trying to help you help the environment, or it's because it's such an expensive system to put in the first place?
That's a good question. To put renewables in your home, what I say is it's all up front. It is a more expensive system to install, without a doubt. Oil, gas boilers and stuff are far cheaper. But that's when it's all up front, but the running costs are much lower.
Right.
So as soon as it's in, it costs you less.
Yes.
The renewable heating incentive is there to encourage people to put renewables in. And in a domestic situation, it's paid over 7 years, and you get a cheque every 3 months.
That's right. Okay.
And within usually 3 or 4 years, those payments have more than covered the cost of the installation.
Wow. Now I'm interested in that, because what I was going to say to you is, don't tell me I get my money back over the next 30 years, because I might be dead by then, especially at my age. But so that's a good incentive.
That's a real incentive.
No, that is a real incentive. Because if you said to me 5 years, I'd be impressed. So 3 to 4 years.
Generally,
that's what I worked it out.
Yeah, it's between 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Because the amount you pay varies according to the technology that you've got installed, and so the tariffs are better. The amount that you paid sort of reflects the initial cost of installation. Okay,
well, I'm genuinely impressed with that now. So my next question would be then. I see these adverts on the TV all the time, from the gas companies saying, get your boiler, maintained each year, etc. So how does the systems compare to, I'd say, like a gas installation?
Again, with a pellet boiler biomass system, you are looking at the same thing as any gas or oil boiler. You're looking at an annual servicing.
Right.
It's a quite straightforward thing. It's not. You don't have huge amount of replacement parts required. It's just to check that it's all clean and that the controls and everything of the system are working properly. So that's very straightforward. We're talking about biomass. The other type of systems is the log gasification, where you're using logs that have been cut.
So you're saying ordinary woodland chopped up?
Yeah. I mean, here we go. I've got the stove in the cellar, burning logs. This is not a log gasification. This is just a pure wood stove, wood stove that's heating my hot water cylinder and driving the central heating. But log gasification is a batch burning log boiler, and you would, in the depth of winter, you do one firing a day. It's a traditional firing. You manually light it. Obviously, it's full of logs. You close the door and you walk away, and it manages itself from that point on. It burns the wood quite quickly and quite hot, and you have a large, what we call accumulator, which is just a large cylinder. That, in a sense, is like the battery for the heat. The log boiler burns the wood really quickly, really fast. It's transferred into the accumulator and stored there. And then, as the house requires hot water and heating, it's extracted from the accumulator. Now, the idea is we size those boilers so that in the highest demand in the winter, when you're using your heating and your hot water most, you'll be doing one firing a day, which means that in the summer, when the heating demand is less, you should be doing one every 3 or 4 days, typically. But because it's burning logs, logs contain, even when they're down to a reasonable moisture content, usually we're looking at a maximum moisture content of around about 20%, which is seasoned wood. There's more maintenance required by the owner. Flues have to be kept clean. The boiler itself has to be kept clean. Again, there are, there's, if you like, you can go from a budget boiler where you have more input to, a more expensive boiler that will clean itself and such like. But that's down to the particular budgets. But again, you're creating a lot more ash, the same as an ordinary wood stove, because logs, it's got bark in it, it's still got a reasonably high moisture content, so you've got sap and stuff. So there's more ash produced, and there's more maintenance.
So I'm just going to ask my last question now. So the ash produced by these logs, can I reuse that?
Oh yeah, it's still wood ash.
So wood ash, you still use in the garden.
Absolutely. It can be spread over the garden. It's the vegetables and the fruit trees and the apple trees and all of that benefit most from potash. But no, it's only the only ash you can't use from a fire is when you're burning coal or anthracite and stuff, and that's quite harmful. But wood, if all you're burning is wood, You can produce
Great.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks very much.
It's not wasted.
That's fascinating. So thanks very much.
Yeah.
So this has been Steve Brown from Swansea Creatives. I've been talking to Gary Wignall of West Wales Heating. We've been just talking about the biomass products and biomass systems. And we'll see you all in the next video.